Hi everyone, Gina Craft, facilitator of technology integration and coaching, and I wanted to go over an awesome resource through Nearpod called Nearpod for Subplans. With the end in mind, we know that sometimes getting subplans together can be difficult, especially if you're sick or a kiddo is sick, and you need to have those readily available. So, Nearpod has come up with a solution to help with that, and that's these Nearpod for subplans that truly allows for 100% engagement and participation even when you are not able to physically be in your classroom, and it gives you the opportunity to be able to help facilitate the content that you want, and to make that as easy of a process for your substitute as possible. So we're going to look at Nearpod for subplans, and this is just kind of the overview right here. You are going to be able to build something specific for your subs, and then whenever you do launch that, then it goes into the student paced mode. So as soon as you are able to share that with your sub, it takes care of the rest of it. Some of those big things to kind of look at are your class, your content in your sub. So it's your content. And then again, whenever you're ready to make that interactive, you make it interactive, and it goes into that student paced mode. And then you, as a teacher or an admin, can help monitor that sub activity, and get some of those reports just to make sure that everybody stays kind of on track. So we're going to go through this quick little video about these different subplans and the ability to have really 100% student participation on those subplans, on those subdays. So when you get into Nearpod, on this left-hand side, you should see where it says subplans. Now, when the first time you click on subplans, it's going to pop up this video for you. And again, this just gives you a quick overview, which is what we're going to go through. But one of the first things that's going to have you do is send yourself an example of what a Nearpod subplan is going to look like, when that comes across for your substitute. So I went ahead and did that, and clicked on this. And this is what you're going to see. You're going to see something similar to this, which is what your sub would see. So it's going to detail that, they're going to be in your class, and here is the view sub plan. So this is what it would look like for your sub. It will pop up like this, and this is all printable. So basically, it's going to give that information for your classroom, anything that you put in those class notes for your school, any emergency procedures that you want to include, and then those lessons, the information. And what's important to note here is these class lesson codes. So that's going to be what the sub is able to put on the whiteboard or on the ViewSonic board or anything like that, for your students. That's the one thing that they are going to have to be able to do is put up those codes for your kiddos. But that's going to come through something that they can print out. Now I'm going to go back to my Nearpod, and I'm going to go over here to subplans. I'm going to create a new subplan. So I'm going to click new subplan. I'm going to put emergency sick day. I'm going to create that. From here, you're able to add in your lessons. So maybe you have lessons within your own library that you would like to include. So maybe it is this local government one. And I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click add. This is where you can give some additional information, what they need to know about this lesson. So maybe prior knowledge from some of the lessons previously from the last couple of days, anything that they need to know, any of that background information they need to know. And then this is also where you're able to identify how many classes should be getting this, because each class is going to have their own unique code, so it doesn't just lump everybody together. So maybe I'm going to give this to 3 classes, so it will generate 3 different codes for those classes. I'm going to hit finish. And then from here, you could add more lessons. If you want to search the lessons that are already in your pod, you can go back to my lessons, and then you can search in here sub. They do have some lessons that are specifically for substitutes. You could click on that folder, and that's where this will pop up. Again, if you want any of those other pre-made lessons, you can search for anything here. So I did local government, so I can type local government search, and then this is going to be any of those different lessons. This is under my lessons right now, but you could go to the Nearpod library, and you can look for any of those lessons. Local government. Well, it would help if I spelled it right, wouldn't it? And then there we go. And then you could copy any of these lessons, and you can add those to your library, and then you can add those to your substitute. So I'm going to go back over here to Nearpod. I'm going to go back in here to my subplans, and then I'm going to click on emergency sick day. This has my lessons. I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to go to this green button that says send subplan. So this is where you're able to send this particular lesson on whatever date. So maybe it's going to be on the 15th. If you don't know who your sub is, you can send this to your building ed tech coach. You could send this to your administrator, and then they could get that to your substitute. If you do know who your substitute is, you're just going to put in their name and their email, because everybody has an MCUSD2 email. You know that your substitute's email is going to be their first name, last name at MCUSD2.com. So you can send that directly to your substitute. And then any of those class notes or emergency procedures, you can upload those here or type in any of the descriptions you may need and that school information. Once you have all of that ready, you can either save it and come back to it later, or you can send that subplan. When you hit send subplan, that's going to send that to that teacher. That's going to then activate that subplan and put that in student paced mode. So whenever your students get on, then they are already engaged in that content, and your sub doesn't have to do anything with that. So this is an awesome resource to kind of prep and have ready just in case. You never know what's going to happen. So that way, if you do have to have emergency subplans, it is literally as quick as clicking a button to send that to whoever needs it. And that way you're not trying to curate these resources when you don't feel well or when you have sick kiddos at home that need you, or whatever the circumstances are. So these subplans are such an awesome resource, especially to kind of proactively create ahead of time. And then that way, when it is time for a sub, it's really easy to send those and have those ready for those people that need them.